I'm Andie Summers, and I'm super excited for this edition of According to Andie because this is a very special guest, Wilson Cecil from City Wine Tours. Yes! So, talk to us a little bit about City Wine Tours, and we have some things available that we're going to be testing.
Absolutely. So, City Wine Tours is a new, business to Philadelphia or experience available in Philadelphia. It's something that started 8 years ago, first in Boston and expanded to New York City, and now it's in Philly. And essentially, we do kind of introductory or like wine experience seminars. And
sounds like fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a great way to have a lot of fun tasting and learning a little bit about wine, as well as tasting a little and like enjoying a little bit of food at some restaurants here in Philadelphia.
Okay. So you have some wines here. So let's do a little bit of what we might be learning by going through City Wine Tours.
Yeah, absolutely. So I brought some, if you come on the tours, you're going to taste different wines than we have here today, but I brought some wines that I think are pretty cool. So we're going to start here with a little bit of a Sauvignon Blanc.
I love a Sauvignon Blanc.
Oh my gosh, so do I. It's one of the like wines that got me into wine. It's super easygoing. It's perfect for this time of year.
Yes.
So,
okay.
Yeah. Cheers.
So, cheers.
Little Sauv Blanc.
You're a loud swallower, and so am I. So I like you even more now. Now that I've made you
the first time I've heard that in my life, I'm cool with it.
I'm so sorry.
I wish I've been doing this so long. I wish somebody had told me. So
this is going swimmingly.
Oh, we're crushing it.
Yeah.
I think look at it.
So tell me about this. It's crisp and dry.
Right. And those are a couple of the hallmarks of Sauvignon Blanc. And so when you come on the tour, what we're trying to go for is having as much fun learning about wine as drinking wine. So obviously, we're already having a lot of fun drinking the wine.
Woo!
I mean, we don't need to get super deep into all the details of the wine, but something we are going to do when you come on the tour is we'll talk a little bit about how we analyze wine and how we might do a tasting note. And we're not going to go through all of that here maybe today, but when you come on the tour, you're going to be looking at a little sheet that's about what does the wine look like, how does it smell, how does it taste, and you already talked a little bit about it. It is dry and crisp, and it's bright, and these are all things that as we drink more and more Sauvignon Blanc, we're going to learn like, oh, that's pretty consistently how Sauvignon Blanc tastes and how it feels in our mouth. It's often it's a pretty dry wine. It's got a lot of acidity, that crispness you talked about, that's acid. And it's kind of lighter in body. Wow.
Okay. All right. So we've learned that the Sauvignon Blanc, Sauv Blanc, as we like to say because we're super cool and drinking it.
Super sophisticated.
It's dry and it's crisp. It's acidic. Would anyone else like to try some Sauv Blanc?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
get in the mix.
Because we're kind of station, we've got some solo cups.
Oh, that's the way. Glassware doesn't matter. Whatever you're drinking out of, as long as you're enjoying drinking it.
I like this one. Nice.
Red Solo cup. From white wine, we're going to work our way into a little bit of rosé.
And rosé is so popular right now.
It is a phenomenon. It's been incredible to watch rosé. Right as I started, so I started in the wine industry right around actually when City Wine Tours started, though not with City Wine Tours, about 8 years ago. And it's been incredible to watch rosé go from this kind of less consumed category to just blowing up. It's been incredible.
I mean, because when I see pink wine, I think of white Zin.
Right. And almost, I think, consistently across the country, that's what people think of.
Yes.
And white Zinfandel, of course, we think of the sweet wine.
Really sweet,
a term we use in wine a lot is like cloyingly sweet. It's like it's like syrupy almost.
I love that word.
Yeah, cloyingly sweet.
Cloyingly sweet.
I like so many things. Wine is as much about vocabulary as anything. And so we're just learning how to talk about wine, right?
Can I try this?
Yeah, no, absolutely not. Wait until I'm done with, no. You, by all means, get in the mix.
I feel like this, I taste apple was my initial flavor here.
Totally. And I feel like it's like got that kind of like, I mean, you look at it, you think pink, you think apple. If it's kind of an apple, like what is it? It's like maybe a red delicious apple. Who knows? For me, I think that it's definitely got a little bit of that bright acidity of like a crisp apple.
I expected this to be sweet too, and it's not very sweet.
Definitely not. And that's a big part of why rosé has really caught on, is that we're seeing increasingly dry rosés come into the market. Dry rosé is actually like more what rosé's always been, but not in the United States.
Yeah, right. Because I feel like when I go out, I don't like a really sweet wine, but I'll try a rosé, and the bartender will look at me like, if you don't like a sweet wine, why would you get that?
Right.
Because I want to look cool.
And that's all it's about, is looking cool. Come to City Wine Tours, you'll look super cool. You're definitely going to want some of this. So this is a cool company called Brock Cellars doing, they're kind of like minimalist wines in California, a little bit east of Napa. And this is just delicious stuff.
It really is.
Yeah, this is the wine for me this summer.
This is a
I'll be
great
drinking a lot
summer
of
wine.
this.
Yeah,
absolutely. Now I don't want to spit.
Swallowed it.
I know, and I hear that it was very loud. I hear.
My husband makes fun of me all the time because, in the middle of the night, I'll wake up and take a sip of water, and it'll wake him up.
You'll wake him up with your swallow. That's impressive. I'm gonna have to talk to my wife and see if that's a thing that's happened.
Yeah,
Maybe she's just never brought it up.
After this.
It'll be perfect. And so that from white to rosé to a little red wine. And so this is something, speaking of the state stores, that you're going to be able to find in just about any of the Pennsylvania state stores. This is Joel Gott. Joel Gott's
oh my gosh, does that smell good?
And that's great aromatics, super consistently tasty wines. These two are a little bit smaller productions. Joel Gott you can find a lot of, and it's for the size of the production, really tasty stuff.
Because of that, it's going to be on the more affordable side, right? Joel Gott's not a super expensive
Joel Gott's
wine.
not a crazy expensive wine at all. So you're going to be looking, in the state stores here, I think it's right around the $20 price point.
Okay.
So maybe not an every night wine for most people, but it's not like a crazy stretch.
Right. Okay. That's good.
And there we have that classic kind of California Cabernet, which means we have oak on the wine, a little bit of that woody, a little vanilla.
A lot of vanilla,
Yeah, right? And then lots of fruit.
Berries.
Yeah. Tons of berries.
It's funny. I think because usually I'm drinking wine and kind of analyzing it when I'm at a restaurant or when I'm around food. I'm noticing so many more of these flavors this morning because it's still morning than normal. And is it the environment? Is it because I'm not smelling all the other foods and things like that?
I think that's a big part of it. And I think the other huge thing that my personal kind of if you were to come on a tour with me, for example, one of the things I try to drive home with people is what's different now is not only the context, but then we're you're stopping and paying attention, right?
Right.
By and large, if you're out at a restaurant, and for all the best reasons, you're probably there with friends or family and having delicious food as well. The sole thing you're focusing is probably not wine, focusing on is probably not wine. And so oftentimes when people are like, man, how do you learn to be how do you learn to taste wine? How do you essentially what it breaks down to is committing this sort of rubric to memory, and knowing that having that system in your head, but then stopping and paying attention to what you're drinking. And so the fact that you're noticing more, it's here we are, what are we tasting?
So you're not usually doing these tastings this early in the morning. Probably either. Clearly, right?
Yeah, clearly, right?
Well, these guys are though. So why don't you guys try the red?
Get back in the mix.
Red Solo
and so
cups.
we have I love the enthusiasm. And so I think that one thing that I really am trying to get people to do is just slow down. Just slow down with wine. Just stop. It doesn't have to be every sip of wine that you take. It's at some point, if you have a glass of wine, take 10 seconds of clear head space.
Right.
And to think about what's in your glass and then in your mouth. Because you're
that's
going to get a lot more out of it.
Yeah. So this is super fun. All right, so we've got all of the information on City Wine Tours in our post.
Absolutely.
So people can just click on it.
The one thing I do want to, of course it's going to be in the post, but citywinetours.com.
Easy peasy.
Easy as that. And you can hop on there, get a tour either in Old City, Center City, or we're doing one in Fishtown as well. They're 2 hours each. They're small groups, intimate, and just a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Wilson. You're amazing.
It's my pleasure, Andie. Thank you so much for having me.
Yay.